So I spent probably 9 hours driving yesterday to go 7 hours round trip away to pick up a double head thickness sander. And this is actually it here. Give me a second. Drop the tailgate. Looks a little rough, but it came out of a working cabinet shop, so it looks like something that would be in a working cabinet shop. Again, it looks a little ragged. The cover for it's actually in the back seat, so, but this thing weighs 400 pounds, and I'm in my 50s, and most of the people that I know are in their 50s, and we all have the same problem, and that is that we have 50-year-old backs. So this thing got into the back of the truck yesterday because the cabinet shop actually had it in the back of a pickup truck because they had it stored in a box truck on their site. I just watched a squirrel fall about 30 feet out of a tree, hit the ground, and then take off running. Bouncy little bastards they are. Anyway, yeah, my squirrel moment. So it was in the back of a pickup truck, so he backed his truck up against my truck and we just slid it in, which is great because, you know, it took 4 of us to do that. So now I have to get this thing out of the truck. I don't have a tractor. I don't have an engine hoist, which wouldn't matter because the thing is, it's too high up to even use an engine hoist on. So this thing needs to be torn apart and cleaned and repaired. Not really repaired, but, you know, adjusted and put back together and put into service because I have work for it almost immediately. Probably in the next couple days I'll need it to start running some sanding projects through. So as a matter of course, I'm going to disassemble this thing in the back of the truck and bring it into the shop in bite-sized pieces, or 50 something with a bad back size pieces, and clean it, service it, and then reassemble it back in the shop, because there's not a chance in hell I'm going to take 8 guys to lift this thing up. Not just because of the weight, but the weight is substantial, but because it's an awkward size, as you can see. Pretty good size. This takes up about, I don't know, close to half of my truck bed. So that's the project for today. I'm going to try to get this done today because I'm right in the middle of doing slat work in the V-berth, and I'd like to get back to that, although my back is happy to take a little break from that because honestly I'm having to work in kind of the praying position on my knees, but crunched down because the overhead above the bunk is about 6 inches shorter than I am. Part of having a working shop is you have to have a fair number of tools. You guys have seen the shop many times, and sometimes you come across the need for a specialty tool. I'm trying to muster up the motivation to break this bastard down because even the small parts are going to be heavy. And there goes the cat jumping in to inspect the equipment to make sure it's, you know, worthy. So that's kind of what the deal is, and hope you enjoy watching me suffer. this sander that we bought, you know, was with the understanding it was a 25-year-old machine, and it's in a little rougher condition than I originally thought. Cosmetically, we knew it was rough because it had rough spots all over it and all that, but it had quite a few other problems. For example, there are bearings down on these pinch rollers. All of those bearings were fried. The pillow block bearings were not seized up, but they were pretty stiff, had a lot of old grease in them. The belts were shot. These coverings are shot, and I actually just got the felt in to replace that, so I'm getting ready to do that. The belt, I can't pull this up right now, but there's like a bushing inside of here and a push block, and that's what sets the tracking and tension on the belt. Those were fried. The sheet metal for these, 2 of these were missing. There's one on all 4 corners. So 2 of those were missing, so I ended up ordering 4 new ones. Ordered all new bearings for here and the push blocks. Took the entire machine apart down to the frame, which I probably said in the other video, had as much to do with the fact that this thing weighs 400 plus pounds, and I'm one person, and I didn't have a way of getting it off the truck. So since I had to tear it down to rebuild it, I went ahead and just tore it down. So that is what I did. So I tore it down piece by piece, brought it in, covered the bench and the parts, and then started cleaning, grinding, sanding, respraying. Now, I didn't get crazy with it. You know, there's not like I didn't do body work on all the tin and that sort of thing. I basically just ground the rust off of it, degreased it, and then primed and sprayed. And you'll notice this color is not Grizzly green, because this is the Grizzly green. But it was as close as I could find that was readily on the shelf, and it is actually John Deere green, which I have an affinity for, having, you know, grown up around farms. So anyway, so the last projects I have left on this is I need to get this felt off of here, which is going to be a booger to say the least. Get all the adhesive off the drums, get new felt put back on it. I don't use hook and loop, I use regular paper, but that helps to cushion it a little bit, gives it a little bit of flexibility. And then I have to calibrate these drums in 2 axes. So they have to be straight this way and this way. So that's the last thing to do once I get the felt replaced. What else did I do? Mainly it was primarily, I guess it was a tear down, clean, paint and lubricate, and I had to fix the chains, and I changed the drive motor and drive gear assembly for the conveyor system. The way they had it done was really goofy, and I changed that up and shortened that chain by probably about 6 or 8 inches. So it works a lot better now, and it has less slack in the chain to cause a problem. The on-off button and relay and reset and breaker, whatever the hell assembly, that thing was kind of nasty inside and needed to be rewired. The electrical cord had a big splice in it, like down in here, so I took that out and shortened this up, because I changed this over to this plug, because what I do is I have wired in the shop, I've wired an outlet specifically for my welders, which are both 220, and then I have an extension cord for that. So with that cord and the cord that's left on that machine, I can pretty much use that machine anywhere in the shop. New sandpaper, I'm hoping, will be here today. It should be here today, because I need to get this thing finalized and set up. I've been messing with this for a week now. So I need to get this thing finalized so I can get back on the boat, because what I really needed this for is I've got a whole bunch of doors to start building, and I have a whole bunch of slats that I cut that you guys will see in the video before this or after this, I'm not sure, but those all need to be run through the thickness sander. The old skid boards off the bottom were I thought they were rotted, but in fact the whole bottom half of them was eaten up with termites. So those bad boys got they got pulled off of there and thrown in the fire pile, because I don't think there's active bugs in it, but you know, it's a wood shop, and I'd just as soon not introduce insects that eat wood. And then I put casters on it, obviously, to make it a little easier to manage. I've still probably got about a month before I can get out of the V-berth itself, which still puts me on schedule because I was shooting for getting to the salon. I'm still aiming for the first of the year, and not that we necessarily have a definitive, we got to be done by this date, but obviously we want to get this done sometime sooner rather than later, because we still got to go on the hard. But that's kind of where we're at for right now, but maybe I'll set this up and show you how miserable it is to try to get felt that's been glued onto an aluminum roller off. That's always a pleasure. It's a combination of probably using a heat gun and a plastic scraper and a number of different solvents, all while trying to protect the areas on this thing that I just painted, because I'd like not to get lacquer thinner or acetone on something I just sprayed in lacquer paint. So anyway, that's, I guess, what's going on for now. I'll try to set you guys up so you can see what fun this is.
Next up, we'll be restoring another classic, an old Danforth Constellation compass, and giving it a second life. Thanks for following along and being part of this journey with us.